The Earth's axis has shifted and we are to blame. In this video, we look at exactly what has happened to the Earth's axis and what impact that will have on life on Earth. So be sure to stay tuned to the end, and if you like it, I'm galactically happy to get a thumbs up and a comment, because that's how we get the YouTube algorithm to show this video to even more people. Thanks a lot guys and welcome. I guess your axis isn't quite straight. This is how astronomers insult each other when they get really angry. Yet a straight axis is rather the exception with planets, and even our Earth is crooked, if you will. If you would draw a line from the South Pole to the North Pole, this line would be inclined measured at the orbital plane to the Sun. To be exact, by 27.27 degrees. This is most likely due to the fact that the Earth has had quite a few violent collisions in the past, the largest of it with the protoplanet Theia, by which finally the Moon was formed. For us, actually a good development, because without the Earth's axis tilt, life on Earth would look quite different. The most important result of this inclination, as you surely know, are of course the seasons. During the summer months, the hemisphere that is tilted toward the Sun is more exposed to solar radiation and therefore warms up more. Then during the winter months, that hemisphere is more averse to the Sun and receives less direct sunlight, resulting in colder weather. This effect is so strong, in fact, that it outweighs the effects of the Earth's distances from the Sun. When we have winter in the northern hemisphere, we are actually closest to the Sun. This is because the Earth is always at its closest point to the Sun, the so-called perihelion, around the beginning of January. And nevertheless it is winter with us then. But the inclination of the Earth's axis actually causes even more effects than just the seasons. For example, the tilt of the Earth's axis also affects the length of the days. In the summer months, when the Earth's axis is tilted and the northern hemisphere is inclined towards the Sun, the days are longer there, while in the winter months the days are shorter. In its most extreme form, this then leads to the polar day, when the Sun does not set at all, and the polar night, when it can no longer be seen above the horizon. And the functioning of the seasons, day length, the amount of light that different regions of the Earth receive at certain times, and thus flora and fauna, all of this is directly influenced by the angle of inclination of the Earth's axis. And now this. The Earth's axis has shifted. And we are to blame for it. How can it be that the Earth's axis is shifting? In fact, one of the ways it happens is through natural cycles, which are part of what are called Milankovitch cycles. I had made a detailed video about this exciting phenomenon recently. If it interests you, then feel free to click here. Anyway, the Earth's axis is not fixed and immobile, it is subject to changes and fluctuations over time. One of these movements is called pole migration, or true pole migration, to distinguish it from the migration of the magnetic poles. This is because true pole migration actually involves a shift in the Earth's axis and thus the position of the geographic poles. This can happen due to various factors, such as the shifting of continents, the melting of glacier, the shifting of masses inside the Earth, the influence of ocean currents, or even cosmic influences, such as the gravitational effects of other celestial bodies or collisions such as that time with Theia. Or it can happen in which we pump groundwater. No kidding, a new study has found that pumping groundwater by us humans has shifted the Earth's axis. Let no one say that we are only small and insignificant. Drink enough water every day and you even shift the Earth's axis. You can do everything. We humans pump huge amounts of groundwater out of the ground to use it for irrigation purposes in agriculture or domestic use. Or for gigantic water bombing battles. This pumped out water is not always replenished in sufficient quantities, which gradually leads to land subsidence. Logically, this land subsidence can have significant impacts, causing damage to buildings and infrastructure and reducing the available space for storing water underground. These are, of course, very lengthy processes, but they have been evident for some time. But the fact that it even affects the Earth's axis was previously unknown. The new research shows that the siphoning of groundwater has a similar effect on the shifting of the Earth's axis, as the melting of the polar ice caps and glacier. Groundwater serves as a kind of weight that pushes on certain region of the Earth. When large amounts of groundwater are pumped out, it changes the distribution of masses around the world and affects the axis of rotation of our Earth. Kind of like getting liposuction, but only having the buff removed from one side of your body. I really need to come up with better comparisons. And the magnitude of the shift caused by pumping from groundwater is really impressive. Between 1993 and 2010, groundwater pumping caused the Earth's axis to shift by about 80 centimeters. That doesn't sound like much, but when you consider that on a global scale things move and change very slowly, 80 centimeters in a few years caused by humans is really quite a lot. Ki-won Seo, a geophysicist at Seoul University in South Korea and leader of the study, said, "Our study shows that life climate-related causes, the redistribution of groundwater has the greatest influence on the shift of the rotation axis. Almost 50% of the pole migration is influenced by our water consumption." To revisit my liposuction comparison, not only is the fat sucked out unevenly, it is then added back in other places. After all, the groundwater is not necessarily used where it is pumped out, and this then not only has an impact on the Earth's axis. Between 1993 and 2010, more than 2 trillion tons of underground groundwater was pumped out and then reused elsewhere in the world, according to the study. As a result, some of the water has shifted into the oceans, causing sea level to rise by 6.24 millimeters. So 80 centimeters of Earth axis shift, 6 millimeters of sea level rise, you may ask.
Is that dangerous for us? Do I have to stop drinking water?
According to the researchers, there is little cause for concern for now. The Earth's annual natural fluctuations have so far been more pronounced than the pole migration. According to the Korean researchers, however, this could look different in a few thousand years. If the Earth's axis were to shift by several degrees at some point, this would have consequences for the global climate and the seasons. For example, the inclination of the Earth's axis played an important role in the Ice Age 3 million years ago. But from my point of view, one must leave the church in the village or better the fat in the belly tissue. Because even if it is remarkable that we humans have shifted the Earth's axis at all by pumping out groundwater, this will not have any significant effect in view of the Milankovitch cycles just mentioned. We are no more powerful than cosmic cycles that play out over millennia. And quite apart from that, a civilization needs agriculture and water, and it is certainly not a solution to cut back agriculture now and thus feed less people. What would be a solution, however, would be more genetic engineering in agriculture in order to be able to feed more people through modified plant species, and to use less water at the same time. That is where the journey must go if we are to become a truly advanced species, perhaps eventually colonizing multiple planets. Unfortunately, at least the German government is full of genetic engineering enemies, so Germany will then not participate in the problem solving as so often. But I would be very interested in your opinion. What do you think about genetic engineering in agriculture? Is it a solution for food and groundwater problems or not? I am very curious about your opinion and hope that we will get an exciting discussion going. Let's change instead of the Earth axis tilt rather my subscriber number, because from the YouTube statistics I know that the majority of viewers of my videos have not subscribed to the channel at all. But this is completely free. It helps me immensely and you won't miss any more galactic videos, so people all press the subscribe button diligently now. But speaking of water, some time ago the Japanese government decided to dump the radioactive water from Fukushima into the sea just like that. And of course, activists and media went nuts. What is really true and how dangerous the whole thing really is, you will learn completely objectively in the video shown. Look at it absolutely times, and if you would like to support my work, then look absolutely in the Astro Store past. Otherwise, I would say, see you in the next video. Take care people.